Welcome everyone to another episode of the Life of Charles Schmidt. This is episode 20. Wow. Episode 20, where Charles is going to tell us another one of his life experiences. In this case, Charles, welcome to another one of your episodes. Charles, you have been a man who have decided to contribute to the world, to make a change, and why not to plant a seed for the next generation. You have come up with a foundation called the Old Charles Fund, and I'm sure that a lot of people don't know about this. So what is the Old Charles Fund?
The Old Charles Fund is something that I started just this year, 2025. And I've so far put $500,000 into it, and I've given away $350,000 of that money. Excuse me, $150, $350 left. So basically it's a 501(c)(3). However,
Sure.
yeah, thank you. However, this is not a fundraiser for me going out and raising money from a bunch of people. This is money that I have put in. If somebody wants to put in money to the Old Charles Fund after I'm gone, fine, or if it perpetuates. But for right now, I am not interested in raising money or taking on the administrative responsibility for somebody else's money. So it's just a fund that I have set up, and so far I've given away good part of it, 30%, and it just makes me feel good. I get all kinds of solicitations from various charities, and I'm very happy to give to charities. I'm more happy to give money to people individually, directly, than through a foundation and this and that. And most of them, I have various specific things that I'd like the money to go to and how it should be spent in the charity.
Where's the inspiration behind the Old Charles Fund?
I've been involved in the thought process of how to give away money and worthwhile causes, and I think early in my life I wanted to run a foundation that would give away a lot of money. I think that's what subconsciously or whatever. Like I've had Our Legacy, that when I had a little bit of money, I set that up and never got off the ground. Then I had something called Mind Lift. It was also a 50. I don't think I ever got the number on that one, but I would give
501c3.
Pardon?
501c3.
501(c)(3).
C3.
But when I was a stockbroker, after my divorce, and I was trying to get back into the stockbrokerage business and not doing well, and so I decided to give classes called Mind Lift classes over at the mall. This was down Fort Lauderdale, and called Mind Lift. In other words, in the holidays, I knew a lot of people were stressed and shopping and frowns. At Christmas time, shouldn't have a frown on your face. Should be happy, but I could see they weren't happy. So I come up with this name, Mind Lift. In other words, people were getting facelifts to make them look better. I thought, Mind Lift, boy, that's a clever name for it. So I have Mind Lift lectures. I talked to the mall, and they gave me a vacant storefront, and the lectures would last 20 minutes, and there'd be 2 at lunch from 12 to 12:20 and 12:30, and there would be like 2 times a week. And of course, when I the lecture would start, there would be nobody there, one or two, and one or two would be there. And then people would go by with their little strollers and shopping carts and everything they see. Well, everybody likes action. They like to see somebody talking or something going on, and they need a break. And so the topic was good. And after a couple of weeks, the room was full. And all the chairs were taken. Well, it wasn't big. They didn't have a lot of chairs, like 20, 30, 40 chairs. But in other words, I thought it was uplifting. However, in other words, I was not in a good frame of mind because I had no money. I had nothing. But I was portraying myself as a happy guy and an expert on making people happy and everything. And I think I was. But it didn't develop into any business. And I failed at the stockbrokerage business, and shortly after my mind lift thing, I ended up living in a warehouse. Sleeping in a non-air conditioned furniture warehouse. And so, in other words, how did it all start? I remember the inception. Now, Old Charles Fund came about, and my dear sweet wife, Jean Taylor, passed away in 2018. I was her fifth husband. She left me a considerable amount of money, and after paying taxes of $750,000, which I never even saw $750,000 in my lifetime. I never imagined it. And I'm giving it away to the government taxes, and I'm happy to be giving it away because somebody's got to pay for the streets and the lights and the police and the garbage man and all that, and I happen to have the money. If they want to tax me, that's fine. I was happy to give it away. Unfortunately, there was a lot left over, and I spent it on a lot of good things.
And now you're passing on the torch of sharing and giving. What is the goal and purpose of the foundation?
Well, the purpose is primarily to a message. In other words, I think that I have some, a good, strong message to motivate young people not to make so many mistakes like I did. And also, one of the ways to convey the message is through media, through cameras, video, YouTube. And another thing that's contributed to my life is this Russian piano player that I met on the boat. And he actually introduced me to classical music, brought it to my attention how enjoyable it is. And so for those reasons, I started this Old Charles Fund, and I had some stumbles with my charities, and got ripped off a couple of times, and could have spent the money much more wisely than I did. And so now I have better control of it. I am the president of the fund, whereas I was giving away money to other organizations and people who had their own ideas of what they want to do with it. So Old Charles Fund is my ideas as long as I live, and I'm happy to get constructive ideas on I'm open to anybody's got a good idea. I'm especially interested in helping young people who might not have the funds available to get done what they want to get done.
Wonderful. What do you hope to change in the world with this fund? I
can't change the world. If I could just change, I I feel real good. I think that I have made a positive effect on a handful of lives of young students, and not only in terms of money, but in terms of mentoring them and telling them explaining them the mistakes that I made, and so that they can avoid doing this same stupid stuff that I did.
Great. So you said I had give 150,000 away
This year.
out of 500, and
Now, in previous years since Gene died, I've given away close to $2 million.
wow. So just to clarify, is the fund with or for education purposes only, or because you're saying I want to help anyone that needs to get something done?
Those are my primary interests. But see, an old guy, he can, and since it's my money, I have a right to change my mind.
Absolutely.
And I do change my mind.
But in this case,
And I go off on tangents, but I say right now, for the purpose of answering the question, yes, it's for education and music and media. However, anybody that's got any other real good idea, I want to hear it.
Awesome, and that's good to know. So that being said, how can a student become a recipient of the Untold Fund?
We're gonna set up a website. We've got a GoDaddy website with a thing, and just an appeal. You got to let somebody know that there is resources out there, and you write a letter. You say, I need money for such and such. I want to go to school. I want to do this. I want to do that. Well, I can't help everybody, and I don't have the resource to help somebody get a new heart or there's a limited part to my resources, and I'm especially interested in this local community, and that Jean Taylor spent the last 30 years of her life in Palm Beach, and she helped a lot of causes here, and so I want to help local people. There's so many good opportunities for education and helping young people, and so I want to be a part of helping the younger generation.
That sounds all good, Charles. How do you decide who receives support from the Untold Fund?
Well, it's just I got research. A lot of people are real good writers and real good talkers, but when it comes to a background check, maybe it doesn't pan out. So, in other words, if they write me a letter, say this is what I want to do, and if the idea makes sense to me, then I would check out the background of the student or anybody who is applying for it to make sure it's not just a sales pitch to get money and then run away with it, like has happened to me.
Why do you think so many bright people are often overlooked or left behind in opportunities like this?
Well, they may be very good at what they do, but they don't know how to ask for money. Just like I'm thinking, there's so many old people that are lonely. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They don't know how to, they would like to have young people in their lives. Maybe their grandchildren don't pay attention to them. Maybe they don't. Well, there's all kinds of students. They can also be lonely. I mean, there's suicide rates going way up. A lot of the reasons is the students are lonely because they don't have anybody to talk to. Now, Ashley Brown has this charity for adopted children. These people, the parents have run away or got locked up or done something, and so they gotta go into a strange environment, and they would like to talk to somebody like me or listen to some video or listen to what I have to say. In other words, here's a guy here reaching out, to want to help them, give them money, and then you have somebody on the other side that's heard something about this guy that maybe we shouldn't take his money, Well, check me out, You want to have information from somebody, go ahead, check it out.
Totally. And once people get, the help from you, do you have any hopes or expectations from them?
Yeah, I expect them to amount to something. I expect them to take the money, get the education they need, and be productive, and go through and help others in the future. Yes, I have great expectations, and yes.
Do you think that this is the most meaningful thing that you have ever done with your money, or there's something bigger than this that you have done?
Well, yes, I don't have any. I have all the basic things that I need in life, all of basic tangible things, but I don't have. I have not given away enough money to. People don't know that I am a resource. They don't. That I am available to help them if they step up to the plate, call me up. Like this Josiah is a real good. He's just a classic example.
Charles, do you expect the recipients of the Old Charles Fund to pass forward this kind of support that they have received from the Old Charles Fund?
Yes, I do expect them to pass it forward. However, not all of them will. In other words, and I can relate to that. So many people have so many good intentions, just like me. I had so many intentions of doing the right thing, doing the good thing, and I would get sidetracked for one reason or another. And so the key is, if you have a plan, a goal, it's follow through. It's just, just follow through. It's a good idea. If it doesn't work, try a different plan. Follow through. It's like these YouTube videos, and we get 3 subscribers now. Okay, and
After 20 of them.
well,
Yeah.
you get like some videos I would turn up that we put up there. We'd have 0 views, and then I'd watch it on after I've already seen it on my computer. I'd watch it on YouTube too. So I count as 1 view, and some I've done.
And then, like I said, my wife watches
My
them.
wife watches it.
Charles, to finish up with this episode 20, what will make you feel like this fund was truly a success even after you're gone?
I want to see it successful before I go. In other words, I want to see that it's on the right track. And then I would like to see somebody take it over that has the same motivation that I do, and somebody that thinks that this is a worthwhile project. I'm not going to take any money while I'm alive, but after I'm gone, you want to put, and I might even change my mind, but anyway, after I'm gone, I want it to continue. It doesn't have to continue as Old Charles Fund. It just has, the message has to be there. It's just one more message.
Well, Charles, thank you. Everyone, we hope that you learned a lot. The takeaways from this video is be on the lookout for the Old Charles Fund website so you can learn more about how you can submit a request, how you can be a recipient. Also, we hope that you can take away something from this video That way, if you have something to be able to contribute to the world, you can take the first step to do it. And stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.